So this lesson is just a quick recording how you can set up your columns in Facebook so you can analyze your results. It's very straightforward and I speed it up, so if it goes too quickly for you, just feel free to pause it. So take some time to set up these columns.
So the columns, the first thing we select is budget, which is going to be pretty straightforward. Just put in budget so we know how much budget we put per ad set, then we put on a amount spent. Select the purchases, and for the people that don't know how you come onto this screen, basically on the right upper corner you have this particular word is going to say columns. Click on the columns and then click on customize columns and you'll see this screen. So here we're going to add all of the metrics which we want to see. Facebook usually has their standard columns selected, but I like to customize it. That's what we're doing right now. I just added the ROAS, which is going to be return on ad spend, which I am going to explain later in this course. Here we have checkouts initiated, which is also pretty important. But of course, whenever I'm selecting all these things, just feel free to do it however you want to select it. But this is how I structure my columns. I added the cost per click, CPC. CPC basically means how much you pay per click for people to go to your website. See, I am adding CPM right now. CPM means cost per 1,000 views. Here I'm adding unique CTR. This means how many people are clicking through. Also a pretty important metric, and this is everything I'm adding right now. So here on the left down corner, make sure you save it. Click on save as preset, give it a name. Don't forget to put a name in here, because if you don't save it on the left down corner, you will automatically reset every time. So that's everything which you needed to do. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Here you see how I can set it up. With all the metrics which you want to see, and that's basically it. I'm sure you'll figure it out because it's pretty damn simple. See you in the next lesson. Ciao.
Lesson 4, the scaling phase. I'm really excited about this one because if you master this particular skill, you literally have your own money printer. You can literally then print money with whatever you want, whenever you want. So in this lesson, I prepared a cheat sheet for you, what to do in possible scenarios and how you can scale your ads. So let's dive right in. Here I've prepared a cheat sheet for Facebook scaling, just because to make it clear for you all how, in what scenarios we scale and what we do in certain scenarios. Just to be clear, we have two ways to scale on Facebook. The first way to scale is horizontal scaling. This means with new winning ads or expand to new countries. And the second way to scale is vertical scaling. This means upping budgets on campaigns. For example, your campaign is spending $100 per day, then you up the budget to $120 per day, and then you have scaled vertically. And the key is that you want to be doing both at the same time. Yes, we don't want to limit to one way of scaling, we want to be doing both, and that way we can scale horizontally and vertically. That way you can get maximum potential out of your products. So the question is, when do we scale? Well, I've put here a basic formula how you can calculate your break-even ROAS. For the people that don't know what a ROAS is, it basically stands for return on ad spend. Let's say you spend $100 on ads and you get $300 revenue out of it, then your return on ad spend is 3. And the first thing you have to do right now, before we start scaling, is calculate your break-even ROAS. I've put down the formula in here very simply in this sheet. So first do that. The formula is very simple. I'm sure you can figure it out. If you cannot figure out this formula, I suggest you to first go back to school and then start scaling your ads. A very important note in here is we mostly look at our ROAS for scaling a certain campaign. I know there are a lot of metrics within your Facebook ad manager, which in the previous lesson we set up the columns there. We have the add to cart metric, the checkout metric, we have cost per click, cost per 1,000. But at the end of the day, what matters to us is the ROAS. Of course, the other metrics matter as well, but where we base our scale on is if we're profitable or not profitable. And how do we determine if we're profitable or not profitable? We determine that by looking at the ROAS. And the first thing you need to know before making decisions is what is your break-even ROAS. Also, do not check the data that's only portrayed in Facebook Ad Manager because the tracking can be shit and it's unreliable. Instead, look at the overall ROAS in Triple Whale, lesson 7, or do the math in a sheet to track your ad spend on store profitability. Revenue divided by ad spend is ROAS. Basically, after iOS 14 update, the tracking on Facebook has been shit, and you cannot only rely on what is portrayed in Facebook. A lot of times you're spending, for example, in a imaginary scenario, I am spending $100 on Facebook, and Facebook is saying that I only got a 1.5 ROAS. That would hypothetically mean that I only have $150 revenue from it. But what if on my Shopify I see $300 revenue? Well, that's why we look at the Facebook to store level. For example, you're spending $100 on ads today, and you see that you're on Shopify, you're doing $300 on sales. That means that your ROAS is 3 and not 1.5, which could be hypothetically, of course, portrayed within Facebook. Of course, it would only work if you're advertising on one platform, because if you're advertising on TikTok, Google, Facebook, all at the same time, then it's gonna be a bit harder to track. And there's a solution to that, which is called Triple Wheel. And I'll dive deeper into it in lesson 7. If the product and store is profitable, minimum of 15 to 20% profit margin on overall store, scale the campaign budget which has gotten the sales by 20 to 40% per day, depending on how fast you want to scale. For example, campaign budget was $100, scale to $120 if we scale with 20%. And of course, you can scale with 50%, and you can even double the budget as well, but this is just very dependent on your situation. If you want to scale stably, my tip would be to just scale by 20% each 2 days or scale daily. And you could break your campaigns if you scale with more than 50% per day. So 20% per day is a good guidance if you just want to scale stably and keep your profitability there. And I also wanted to highlight a couple of scenarios which are not in this cheat sheet, but could hypothetically happen in your scenario. The first one is that you have a low cost per click and a high ROAS. If you understand what I mean, a cost per click means how many people have actually clicked on your ad and went to your website. And with that, you also have a high ROAS. This scenario is ideal. You have very cheap traffic and you're also very profitable. If you see this and your profit margin is above 15 to 20%, I would say scale that. A second scenario could be that you have a high cost per click and a low ROAS. If your cost per click is very high, that would mean that your creatives are just not hitting. Or your market, of course, is very competitive. But as a general rule, you can say if your cost per click is very high, that means that people are not interested in your creative. You gotta see it like this. We have a funnel where it starts with the creative, then people go to the product page, then they go to the checkout, and then you actually have the purchase down here. If you are not profitable overall, somewhere in this funnel it goes wrong. Of course, it can go wrong on all 4 aspects. Most of the times it's on the creative level or on the store level. So when your cost per click is very high, your ROAS is also very low. Most of the times it already goes wrong on the creative level. So you should look at your creatives and you should improve your creatives because they are obviously not working. Use the tips I gave you on the creatives before to improve your creatives. A third scenario could be that you have a low cost per click and also a low ROAS. So that means that you have very cheap traffic, but still you're not profitable. In this scenario, that means that you have a lot of cheap traffic, but the traffic doesn't convert on your website. So in this third scenario, the second aspect of the funnel doesn't hit. That means that you have to improve your product page. Because obviously, you're on the top of the funnel, your creative works very well, but your website is just not converting. I would probably reassess your website, look at your website, go from a customer's perspective, check the colors of the add to cart buttons, check your payment methods, check if your website is trustable, reputable. If you wouldn't buy from your own store just because you wouldn't trust it, why would a customer then buy from your store? Ask yourself that question. Of course, if you're selling woman products or something you are not interested in, I'm just talking about if you're a potential customer, would you trust your own website? So to move on with the sheet, I have put a very last note in here, which is very, very important. I want you to remember this. Remember, you need new winning creatives or expand to new countries. Otherwise, your current creatives that work will slowly die down and you will become unprofitable again. Please read this twice or pause the video to read this slowly. Because you gotta realize, if you do not find new winning creatives or do not scale to new countries, you will eventually become unprofitable again. Just because your current creatives will get saturated. They will become saturated because there comes more competition, or just because you're scaling in a small country. For example, if you're scaling in the Netherlands, target country is pretty small. So it happens pretty easily that a lot of people have seen your ads and it's just saturated. Of course, in countries like UK and USA, it might happen much less quick. But overall, it's a ticking time bomb. Where you do not expand to new countries or find new winning ads, you are going to become unprofitable again. So you need to figure out the machine, how you can get winning ads on a consistent basis, which I'm going to show you as well in the later phase. And that way you can keep your profitability in the countries that you're scaling in. The second way you can prevent this is that you have to scale to new countries. For example, if you're selling in Netherlands right now, you're selling in the Dutch market, which is a great market, by the way, very quick payouts, but your ads are you're getting less and less profitable in the Netherlands. The first thing you can do, of course, is find new winning creatives in Netherlands, or you can scale your current winning creatives, or find new winning creatives, of course, but scale them in Germany. Vice versa. Of course, if you're in the UK, you could do in the USA, vice versa. And with the sauce I shared before in this course, with the agent we have and the hybrid method, you can scale worldwide. So that shouldn't be any issue. And what I've seen work best is doing both at the same times. You want to get new winning creatives and you also want to scale to new winning countries. Because we want to make as much money as possible, of course. So that's it for this lesson. If you master this scaling phase, I'm telling you, you have your own money printer at home. So take this seriously and master this skill. I'll see you in the next lesson where we discuss Google. Ciao. Lesson 5, becoming a master of Google. Before we dive into Google, I want you to know that Google in the beginning, especially in the beginning, is not going to be a difference maker for your brand. Facebook needs to be your main money printer, and with Google, we can get the money which you otherwise would leave on the table. Because you gotta realize, when you're running ads on Facebook, most people do not directly buy it from Facebook, but most of the time they just save it, take a screenshot, go to your website, and then remember it somewhere in the back of their head. And a lot of times they'll look up your products or brand name afterwards on Google. So let's say, for example, in our case study, our brand is called Blendmate, right? And people saw our ad on Facebook and they didn't buy it immediately from Facebook and they just remembered our brand name. Well, then the next day they go on Google and they look up Blendmate. And in a case scenario where you're not active on Google and not running any ads on there, your competitors are going to be shown on there. And they'll go to your competitor website and buy it from there. So you lost the sale. That's why you want to be active on Google, just because you want to be omnipresent with your brand. If you do not run Google ads, especially search ads on brand campaigns, you'll leave a lot of money on the table. So especially when you're just starting out, focus on mastering Facebook first, then try to master Google. If you can do both at the same time, props to you. But if you have limited time, first try to master Facebook, because Facebook will be your main money printer. But still, I wanted to include it in this course so you can set these brand campaigns up. And like I said before, Google is just a one-time setup and requires very little management. So let's dive right into our Google Ads Manager. So here we are in our Google Ads Manager. As you see, I spent 50K in a month on here, and this is my ad manager which I use for Bright Sport. But in this particular case study, I didn't make a special ad account for Blendmate, just because I think it's very straightforward and I would waste all of your time. If you don't know how to do it, it's pretty easy. Just go to look up Google Ads on Google. Obviously, and then you can make an account with your brand name. So whenever you've done that, then we can dive deeper into creating a campaign. As you see in here, you have a big blue button in here where you can create a campaign, and we click on new campaign. We always target the brand towards sales. Obviously you can test the other ones as well, but what has worked best for me and what I recommend you to do as well, to target it on sales. Always target on purchases as well. That's pretty straightforward, with me it's already preset. And here you can select a campaign type. You have search, performance max, display, shopping, video, and discovery. What I recommend you to do is just to start off with search ads. Because if people look up your products or your brand name, you just want to be active on top of the search results. You don't want your competitors to be on there when they look up your specific product. You can test out the other ways of advertising as well, because you can do that in a later phase. I won't dive too deep to that right now, because the highest ROI one is search ads. Another note on why Google is so high ROI. Because if people look up your product, let's say I'm going to Google and I look up a portable blender, or I look up Blendmate website, I am already intending to buy the product, because otherwise I wouldn't have looked it up on Google. And the big difference is, on Facebook, a lot of times they're just scrolling through their feed and then they're getting your product, but deep inside they never even wanted your product. And on Google, it's so high ROI because they're already intended to buy. You just have to be present on there and don't give a reason to them not to buy it. And done. And then it's free money for you. So when we click on search ads, select the ways you'd like to reach your goal. We select website visits. We can fill in your domain in here, but I didn't actually register our Blendmate domain. So I'm just gonna put it in here, Blendmate domain, just to proceed with the example. But whenever you've registered your domain, of course, put your main domain in there, and I would name your campaign name something like, let's say we are going to target USA in this particular scenario, then I would call it USA brand search campaign Blendmate with our brand name. I would structure it like this, and before we proceed, by the way, I would structure your campaigns per country. So let's say you're selling USA, UK, Netherlands, I would make 3 separate campaigns, just because it can get pretty chaotic and you have different languages per country. So in this particular scenario, we're doing USA. We continue. We already have a draft. I start new. Here we can bid on campaigns, and it's asking what do you want to focus on. I would always focus on conversions. Conversions at the end of the day are people who are going to click on your search ad, and that's what we want, of course. So here we have an option to set a target cost per acquisition, which is optional. I would turn this one off just because if you don't know what is a target cost per acquisition yet. You just want to leave it free for Google and don't put any limit on it. After you've got the first results in, you can know, okay, I can aim for that cost per action, but for now you just want to leave it open for Google to learn. And this one we leave unselected as well, and then we click on next. Here we have two options where we can select our network. I would only select search network. I would remove this one, the display network, just because I've tried both, and it's, if you want the highest ROI, just select search network and remove the display network, because otherwise Google, if you give $100 budget to Google, it's going to spend it everywhere where Google is available. So if you want the most efficient way to spend your budget, only select search network. Here we can select the location, and obviously this is dependent per person and dependent on your store. So if you're running ads in the USA, you can add USA in here, enter another location, you can add United States, right? It's pretty straightforward. Add United States, target, presence of interest. I would just keep this one on recommended. I would put this one selected. And obviously when you're running ads in the Netherlands, you press in Netherlands, and that's pretty straightforward and logical, right? So we move on. When we press in the United States here, the target audience is 318 million people, so that's a lot. Here we can select the language. Obviously we're setting in the USA, so it's English, and it's already pre-selected, so you don't have to do anything in there. Pretty straightforward. We go to next. Here we are at keywords and ads. Here we are going to have to put in the keywords where we are going to target the people on Google. So for example, I'm going to explain it to you and show it. Here we have our main domain, heyblendmate.com, which is already filled in there, and we have to enter our keywords in here. So what I recommend you to do on the keywords is always use a quote, just because if you do not use a quote in between the particular keyword, your Google is going to target everything that looks like that particular keyword. So let's say I am going to target a blender, they're going to try everything to spend your money, and you don't want that. If you're just going to set up these campaigns for the first time and you're spending decently on Facebook, or you're just spending something on Facebook, you just want to be active on Google as well, like I said before, and I would just start out with targeting your brand name. So what could be your brand name? For example, I would start off with just Blendmate, obviously, in our case study. If people look up Blendmate, they will find us. We can, what I also recommend you to add is, for example, Blendmate website. We can add Blendmate reviews, etc, etc. You get what I mean? Just have a lot of variations. You can also use this button, which is going to give you keyword suggestions, and feel free to use it. But I wouldn't use ChatGPT for this, by the way. And let's say you are more advanced and you are already spending a lot on Facebook, and you have some experience with Google already, or you don't have any experience with Google, can also happen. But that could also be a scenario, right? But you can also target more general keywords. For example, if I am selling these portable blenders, I can actually target the keyword portable blender. Or if I want to be even more generic, I can press the keyword fitness products. You just gotta realize that if we are going to put in these general keywords, that the budget you are going to put in the next step is probably gonna spend completely. And also you gotta know that the cost per click is gonna be very high, because at the end of the day, you're competing against other websites, right? Whoever has the highest bid is gonna get the click. So if you're going to target fitness products or portable blenders, it's gonna be very, very competitive. So be ready to pay big bucks for it. But in this scenario, we are only going to test the brand names, and everything has to do something with our brand. For example, you can put your product name in there, reviews, experiences, for sure. Add anything you can come up with. Feel free to use the suggestions as well, and that will be sufficient for you to start. And next phase, we have the ads, and here's where this is what's going to be displayed on Google itself. So here we have the final URL. You can put your homepage on there. Or you can also put your product page, or you can target your collection page. Those are 3 options which you could do, and that's very dependent on what you want. Of course, this is very dependent on how does your homepage look. If your homepage looks like shit, I wouldn't lead them to your homepage. I would lead them directly to your product page. But let's say you're pretty confident about your homepage, then just lead them to the homepage, because they could buy more products from you if you're not only selling one product. So in this particular scenario, we're just going to use the homepage, and you can add a display path, but this doesn't really matter, this display path, but we can just put in here blend made. Like I said, it doesn't really matter, but here on the headlines is where a lot of things will happen, and here on the headlines is where we're going to have to put in our actual ads is what is visible on Google itself. So here you have to put in 3 headlines, which are going to be visible here on the right side, like you see, headline 1, headline 2, headline 3, and you also have to put in the description 1, description 2. So in this particular scenario, in this example, I won't dive too deep into it, but I'm going to put in an example, and you can of course take inspiration from other brands as well, right? Again, don't try to reinvent the wheel. If I just go to Google right now and I'm gonna press in, let's say, a big brand, MyProtein. I think everyone knows what MyProtein is. Let's say I look up MyProtein on Google right now, I'll probably get a Google ad from them, right? As you see in here, I'm from the Netherlands, I'm getting a Dutch Google ad, which is great. They are obviously doing it very well. Well, you can take inspiration from it because you can look how their ad looks. You can check here how they've structured their particular ad. They put their brand name first, then their product name, and then they have an official website is saying. And you can also look at the description as well. But let's say if I can also look up Nike. I mean, feel free to also look up Nike. I mean, Nike is one of the biggest direct-to-consumer brands out there, so feel free to learn from it. And I am not getting a particular ad right now, but I'm getting a lot of shopping ads. And by the way, note on shopping ads, this can be also very high ROI, but note that it's going to be very expensive and a bit more complicated. So if you're just starting out, you're running ads on Facebook, like I said, master Facebook first, then you can also master the shopping ads, which I'm not going to dive deeper into in this particular lesson. But like I said, my point was research other brands, look how their Google ads look, and based on that you can make your own ads. So in this particular scenario, I can just put in here blend made official website on the headline, and the third headline I can put like something. I would put it in capital letters, by the way. I can put in here like the best the portable blender brand. I'm just putting something here. Obviously, feel free to customize this however you want and however you want your brand to be shown in Google results. The portable blender brand. The portable blender brand. Like I said, put more time into it. Same with the description. Obviously, I'm a copywriting god, but I can write something here out of my mind right now. I could write the best portable blenders on the market, and I could put something in description. I could put worldwide shipping, after pay available. I would put something like pay later with Klarna, something like that. I mean, this is of course dependent on you, but this is what I just made up in here, and feel free to customize however you like I said. And basically this, you can fill all of this in, but it's not very necessary. I usually don't do it. In here, we are going to press on next, and this is basically what is going to be shown on Google. And here you have to set your average daily budget. Here you're going to set your average daily budget. So here they are, I see this is a new feature from them. I haven't seen it before, but they're giving you an average daily budget to recommend you. But if you I would just put it on custom and just put your own budget in there, whatever you feel comfortable with. But this is very dependent case per case. For example, if you're spending $100 on Facebook, and you put $100 in here, it's not gonna spend completely, because you gotta realize it's only gonna target people who have searched those keywords which you put in the step before this one. So if there's no search volume to your keywords, it's not gonna spend it, so don't worry about it. Then you can put in here like 20 euros and just see what the spending is. After a day or two, just check the analytics, see if it's spent. If it didn't spend, maybe you can higher the budget or adjust some keywords, add some keywords in, and look up the search volume for your products. Basically, if you're spending more, obviously do it in the right ratio. If you're spending 1K per day on Facebook, try adding here 500 euros, because it's not gonna spend anyways. If it's gonna spend completely, then you've probably added a lot of other keywords in there which have nothing to do with your brand. But like I said, test it out. And if you put a high budget in there, it cannot hurt. So I put in this particular scenario, I put $20, 20 euros in there, and I click on next, and then it's basically ready to launch. Here we can check everything on one more time again, and if it's gonna check for errors, there's gonna be shown a button which is gonna say publish, and Google is probably gonna review it for a day or two, and after it's reviewed and approved, your ads will go live. So that's it for Google. Like I said, very straightforward, pretty easy to set up, and the best thing is it doesn't require a lot of managing. You just have to, most of the time it's just a one-time setup per country, and you just have to manage the budgets bi-weekly or after a couple of days when you're scaling up on Facebook. Obviously you also have to scale up your Google ads with it. But it doesn't require much creative testing like Facebook, because obviously your creative, your search ads will stay the same. Obviously you can optimize based on keywords, add a couple of other keywords in there and test out different search campaigns, for example, shopping campaigns, etc., etc. But to close off this lesson, I want to say again, if you're just starting out, please focus on Facebook first, master the Facebook money printer, and then start to focus on Google. So you can set up your campaigns when your Facebook is starting to spend decently, but if you're not spending anything on Facebook yet, your Facebook ads don't work yet, don't focus on Google yet, and skip Google for now, fully focus on Facebook. I'm sure you found this lesson valuable, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Ciao! Lesson 6, overcoming Facebook tracking bottlenecks. I've personally struggled with this one a lot the last couple of years, because after iOS 14 update, the tracking on Facebook got much worse. So I have an article in front of me right now which explains it very well, but I won't dive too deep into the article right now. But basically the point of the article is, to summarize it, is that after iOS 14 update from Apple, obviously that was back in 2021, so I think it's almost more than 2 years ago when that update came in. The tracking from Facebook got much worse. What do I mean with that? Let's say we're spending money on Facebook campaigns, right? And the issue is that we have to know where are these sales coming from. If Facebook is not tracking where these sales are coming from, so they're not reporting a sale. For example, we're getting 10 sales from our website, but Facebook is only showing that we only got 5 sales. That means, where did these other 5 sales come from? I mean, it wasn't organic because we're only running Facebook ads, right? So that means that Facebook didn't track these extra 5 sales, and that's the big issue in here. Because if we're selling in Netherlands, Germany, United States, etc., etc., or let's say in a better scenario, we're just selling in the United States, but we're testing 10 different creatives, right? We're testing 10 different videos and 10 different images, and we got like 100 sales from these Facebook ads. With these tracking issues, if we do not know where this particular sale came from, we do not know which ad or which campaign or which creative to scale. And at the end of the day, it comes down to decision making. If your data is incorrect, you cannot make a correct decision. How do you know which ad to scale, which campaign to scale, which country to scale if it doesn't track? So that's what I've been struggling with over the past years, because we don't know which video does well or which video doesn't do well. I can be honest with you, over the time, it got better and better. Facebook is improving on that. But still, it isn't as accurate as I want it to be. A lot of times I'm seeing, let's say, 1,000 sales on the website, but Facebook is only tracking 500 sales. So to come back to my point in the Facebook scaling lesson as well, our store level is saying that we're profitable, but Facebook is saying we're unprofitable. Luckily you have me, and for every problem there's a solution, which I'm going to show you in this lesson. So the solution is called Triple Whale. It's a software which you can use to track your profits and also track your ads. As you see in front of me, we have the Triple Whale dashboard right now. And as you see, I put the December 1st on one of our stores. We did 37% margin on that day, and we had a 28K profit in US dollars on that particular day with a 6.15 ROAS. As you see in here, we already have a P&L of the day, which is already a big plus of this software, because you can use a Google Sheet as well, of course, right? Let's say you're spending on Facebook, Google, Pinterest, TikTok, and all these other platforms, and you're having a particular revenue number. You can put everything underneath each other and make a Google Sheet, right? You have the total sales minus all the costs, which include advertising costs as well. Including costs, we have cost of goods, shipping, payment gateways, etc., etc. You could do this every day in Google Sheet, but the big downside to it is, first, it's pretty inaccurate, and second, it's a lot of manual work each day. So that's the first reason why Triple Whale is great, because you have an app on your phone as well, and you can just see your P&L of the day, which is very important, right? You need to know if I'm profitable or not. You do not want to find out after a couple of weeks, oh, I've been unprofitable. Because with Triple Whale, they take into account your cost of goods, your shipping, and everything that is basically needed for e-commerce. I have this app on my phone as well, and each day when I wake up, I used to open the app first, and it was gonna decide if I'm gonna have a depressing day or a very happy day. Of course, most of the times it was a happy day. But the big pro from Triple Wheel is that on the left side in here, we have a pixel tool where we can track the ads with. So as you see on here, I can open Facebook on this particular day, and I can see all the campaigns that I'm running on Facebook. And I can see all the ads I'm running as well. You can see the particular video I'm running, and you can see this is the Facebook ROAS. This left column is the Facebook ROAS, and the right side is what Triple Wheel is tracking. And from what I've experienced and what I've seen, of course, over the years, is when I've been using this, is that the Triple Wheel tracking is much more accurate. As you see in here, I can see out of which particular creative, out of which particular video, which sale came from. And that is very important for decision making. Let's say if we only use Facebook tracking, then I would see all these creatives. Of course, I would see all these videos and I would see a general guidance in there, but I'm not seeing accurate results, so I don't know which creative is exactly working very well for me. So if I don't know which creative is working very well for me, so how do I know which creative I can go all in on and create more videos from? How do I know which angle is working? How do I know which content creator is working? Well, we have to know it to make the right decision in here. And that's why Triple Wheel shows very accurate results, which you can base your decision making on. I have been always using Triple Wheel for our tracking and for decision making as well. So I suggest you to use it as well. Within Triple Wheel, you can also set up your cost. You can set up your payment gateways. You can set up your cost of goods. You can basically set up everything A to Z, your shipping, you name it. But what is very important for me as well, if I know if I'm making a profit in a day or not, which I as well explained before. Another note which I do not want you to forget is about the gateway costs. What are gateway costs? Gateway costs are basically costs from the payment providers. So if you're using Stripe, Shopify Payments, Molly, Klarna, PayPal is a big one, but all these payment processors take a very high fee. So you got to take that into account into your profit margin. And so that's a mistake I made as well. I didn't count on such high payment processing fees, because you got to count on some payment processing fees high as 5 to 10%. Klarna already takes like 4 to 5% of your total revenue. PayPal, for instance, if you have a good PayPal, I hope you have a good PayPal, but a lot of times if you're selling in different currencies, you also have a very high fee. So it's very important that you take it into account with your profit margin, otherwise you're getting an image which isn't that accurate. So overall, Triple Wheel is a great tool which you can use everything from A to Z. For Capital Club members, we have a discount for Triple Wheel, which you can find in the description below. Feel free to sign up and use it. But as a last note, I do want to make clear that if you're just starting out and you do not have much experience yet, you're not doing a lot of revenue yet, do not use Triple Wheel yet, and you better to use that money for testing or test new products and spend it on Facebook ads. But if you're more advanced, Triple Wheel can bring your decision making and your overall brand to the next level. So that's it for this lesson. Make sure to use Triple Wheel and use the link below if you want to use it, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Ciao! So lesson 7, the power of influencers. This one is going to be very short, but I'm going to be very clear. The power of influencers can, like I said before, it can make or break your brand. In this lesson, I'm going to show you a couple of case studies where I see that they are using the power of influencers very well, and even celebrity levels. And the first example I want to show you is, for example, trysnow.com. I showed this brand multiple times before in this course, but as you see on here, the first thing we open on their website, we're seeing as seen on the Ellen DeGeneres show. There's even a video with it. I'm not going to play the video, but basically they have a whole promotion on Ellen DeGeneres, and I mean she's a celebrity level, of course. If we go to their Instagram, it's also highlighted on here very big. We see Ellen DeGeneres in front of their homepage, pinned as well, and obviously that gives them a very big brand elevation. And as you see on here, on HiSmile we have it as well. They are using the power of influence also very well. As you see on their Instagram, the first thing we see is Kim Kardashian. I mean, who doesn't know Kim Kardashian? It's a very big social proof for their brand. And I think HiSmile and Snow are great case studies in where they use the power of influencers very well. So of course you won't get Kim Kardashian in the beginning, because I personally know that Kim Kardashian ads cost around 500K just to make a video with her. And from what I've experienced with influencers, especially these big influencers with high following, is that a lot of times it's very hard to make it ROI positive. You gotta realize that when you're paying 100K to an influencer just to make a video, you gotta do in terms of revenue, you already gotta do a lot of sales. So for example, if we pay an influencer for 100K and we sell a product for $40 each, right? That means that we would have to do 2,500 sales from just one promotion. And we're not even talking about profit in here. We're just talking about turnover. So we still have to pay all the costs from it. So like I said before, from my experience, most big influencers, it's very hard to make it ROI positive. The only way how you can make it ROI positive is if you do it like the case studies which I'm showing in here. How Snow is doing it is that they highlight the Ellen DeGeneres advertisement they had very big on their website. This particular ad, which from Ellen DeGeneres, could be that little extra push which you need for customers on your website. Let's say if you're running a lot of ads to your website, you're getting 1 million visitors per month, which sounds very crazy, but these websites which I'm showing in here do a couple of million visitors per month. Let's say they invest a couple of 100K into an Ellen DeGeneres ad. It's very hardly ROI positive if they just target it with direct sales. Like I said before, with direct sales, it's very hardly profitable. And if you do it like how they do it, they have a very big celebrity campaign and they put it very big on their website and you get millions of traffic per month. That could be a difference maker into making your conversion rate from 1% to maybe 2%. That could be the difference maker from a make or break for your brand. I mean, it could be that little extra push to make your brand from unsuccessful to successful. Just because that big celebrity gives that extra social proof, that extra proof of trustworthy of your brand, that is legit, that is real, to make them convert. Only then I think you can make it profitable with big celebrities. But you are probably not on this level yet. So I want to emphasize one more point which I have used a lot, which is the power of micro-influencers. Micro-influencers, I see them to approximately 100K followers, and less than that is approximately for me a micro-influencer, but of course there's no real guidance in there. A micro-influencer can maybe have 10,000 followers, but these 10,000 followers buy everything that person promotes. From my experience, quality over quantity, 100%. I'd rather have someone who has 10,000 followers and their followers are very loyal to that particular person than someone that's very big, has millions of followers, and all those followers buy nothing from what he or she promotes. And also, next to that, micro-influencers are also a lot of times very cheap. Like I explained in the content creator lesson, a lot of them even do it for a free product. And also how you can use these micro-influencers very well is that you use the content which they make for ads. And that's even more scalable, right? But to close off this lesson, I want to close it off as I did with the Google lesson. If you're just starting out and you're not doing a lot of revenue yet, and you do not have big influence in your network, of course it could be a possibility that your best friend is Drake, but the chance of that are very low. Then please focus on your money printer, which is Facebook. Master Facebook first, and if you can use the power of micro-influencers, a lot of micro-influencers, or one very big celebrity influencer, it can elevate your brand even more. Because you gotta realize, let's say you have a brand promotion with Kim Kardashian or Ellen DeGeneres, your whole brand presence, your whole brand value goes up because your brand is associated with big names. And that's where we want to move to. If you look at any big brand out there, for example, Nike or Adidas, they have Cristiano Ronaldo, or which athlete they don't have. I mean, they have every celebrity or influencer out there is getting sponsored by Nike or Adidas or any big brand out there. My point is, we don't only want to be dependent on paid advertising. We want to get sales anywhere we can. So influencers could be a great tool to utilize that. And I'm sure you found this lesson valuable, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Ciao.